back to Management Live, New York City 2014. For our next conference presentation, let's invite to our stage Scott Anthony. Every entrepreneur has to face a series of challenges when he starts taking breakthrough ideas into practice. The managing partner at InnoSight, who's been dubbed Dr. Disruption by Businessweek, is here to explain how to successfully navigate that first mile by giving 3 great examples.
Now, we spent extensive time in our organization in Innovation's First Mile. That's both in our consulting arm, where we're working with some of the largest companies in the world to launch new businesses, as well as in our ventures arm in Singapore, where we're incubating and investing in startups. We have taken a lot of punches along the way. As we've gone through our own journey, there are 3 lessons that I've learned again and again about what makes the first mile so hard. Let me introduce those lessons with 3 case studies of businesses we tried to create, each of which struggled. So this is a picture of a hospital in Singapore that is very near and dear to my heart. This is Glen Eagles. This hospital is about a quarter mile away from where we live in Singapore. And it's near and dear to my heart because our 3rd child, Harry, was born there. That's Harry and my beautiful wife, Joanne, pictured here. I found out, by the way, if you show pictures of babies, scientifically, your feedback ratings go way up in events like this. So there you go. Remember that picture of Harry at the end of the event. So anyway, we were very comfortable having Harry born at this hospital because it's a fantastic hospital. If you ever go into a hospital in Singapore, you see a truly first-rate facility. The doctors are all trained in the best medical schools in the world. There's modern instrumentation. It is a great place. Yet somehow, the cost of healthcare is roughly 1/3 in Singapore what it is in the United States. So about 10 years ago, we began formulating the idea for a business. You would call it medical tourism. What if we thought we found people in the United States who were going to undergo something like a hip replacement? They were going to undergo a surgery that wasn't necessary, but they wanted to have it done. We could have them fly out to Singapore, stay in a 6-star hotel, go and get the procedure done at a great place like Glen Eagles and enjoy a vacation on the other side of it, and still save them and their insurance company a ton of money. You can ask Mark Bertolini from Aetna tomorrow whether he thinks this is a good idea. Mark will be fantastic, by the way. All the speakers are great, but Mark is the one that I personally am most excited about. Anyway, so people looked at this, and we went and talked to customers, and we asked them, what do you think about this? And the customers said, we love it. It sounds like a great idea. Of course we'll sign up for it. The first lesson that you have to learn about Innovation's First Mile: customers lie. They lie all the time, not because they're bad people, not because they're trying to mislead you, but because they don't actually know what they're going to do in the future. We talked to these customers and they told us, of course they'd sign up for our business. But then we began to make it real. We started offering seminars in places like Florida that were filled with potential customers. No one showed up to the seminar. It turned out once it became real, once they had to actually contemplate getting on a plane and flying 9,000 miles to get their hip replaced or their knee replaced, all of a sudden it looked a lot less attractive. This is an important lesson. When you're working on an idea, don't rely just on what people are saying. Instead, watch what they're currently doing today. Watch how they're spending their money or their time today, and try to find ways to make your idea real as quickly as possible. Because it is only in reality that you figure out what people are going to do. Let's go back to India for the second lesson we learned. This is another business we tried to launch that has some real similarities with Razorrave. The business was called Village Laundry Service. Again, we were going after this emerging middle class, in this case for the provision, as the name implies, of laundry services. Our idea was to go after customers that were beginning to enjoy more wealth, but hadn't yet invested to buy a washing machine at home. It's a huge population in India. The best that most people could do is hire the local dhobi, who would come and pick up their clothes, bring them to a communal pool, wash them in that pool with harsh chemicals, beat them against rocks, and bring them back about a week to 10 days later. Not very hard to provide better service than that. Cheaper is hard, but better is pretty easy. So we came up with something that, yes, was a price premium, but allowed in 24 hours people to get their clothes washed and dried using modern equipment, chemicals, and so on. The business looked beautiful on paper. They all look beautiful on paper, don't they? We came up with this great financial model that showed how we would spread this business all throughout India. Based on that financial model, based on our projections, based on our own internal financing, we invested more than $1 million in the business. Some of that was our money, some of it was money from outside investors. And we began to deploy these kiosks all across a few cities in India. People loved the idea. There's probably no idea we've ever worked on that has gotten people more excited. We were named one of the hottest startups in India. We got tons of press coverage. The spreadsheets were beautiful, but the second lesson that you have to remember is, unfortunately, you can't cache those spreadsheets. The business that looked so good on paper or in a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet turned out to be brutally difficult to actually execute in market. If I could wind back the clock on this one of the things I would love to have done is not raise $1 million for it. Because once we got all that money, we began expanding before we really had figured out how we were going to make money. Then we were so busy fighting fires, literally fighting fires. We had kiosks that caught on fire and other problems. So busy fighting fires that we never could figure out how to really make a kiosk work. 5 years later, the business still exists. A couple years ago, we scrapped the kiosks, moved to a central store, and are now using that to take another run at it because we still think it's a problem worth solving. But it took us far too long to get there. Here's the third lesson. Let's go to the United States now. How many of you have heard of the Khan Academy? Man, that's painful. So we had the idea way before Khan did. So our idea, similar to Khan, is everybody learns in different ways, but we teach them all the same way. We've got a teacher in front of a classroom. They're trying to teach 30 kids at a time. It's a big struggle. As you have the internet, the rise of video, there's lots of different things you can do. So our idea was called Guaranteach. What we thought we would do is essentially create a platform where teachers could submit their own video clips. We started with math because it's perhaps the easiest subject to teach in this way. So we had teachers put up 2 to 3 minute video clips teaching different concepts in math. We then came up with this cool way that you could go in and customize it. So you could go and take a quick diagnostic quiz to figure out what type of learner you were. Do you like abstract? Do you like things that are more tangible? Do you like videos with puppets in them? We actually had plenty of those. What is your individual learning style? With that, we could customize the videos that were shown to you. We were tracking all sorts of different features or different things that were showing how our business was doing. And everything looked great. We were attracting early customers. We got 25,000 videos posted on the platform. Everything was moving up and to the right. There was one little problem with our business. The customers hated it. The actual students who were going onto the platform and using it, they were doing it because a school told them to. You can always buy early customers. You can always buy early traction. But if you aren't generating something magical with the customer, some kind of emotive connection, some kind of even love with the customer, there is no way you can scale your business. Something the customer feels indifferent about, and boy, did they feel indifferent about Guaranteach, simply cannot scale. In this case, again, we raised a couple $1 million from some very blue chip investors, but we never figured out the basics. How are we really going to deliver something that the customer views as magical? The first mile is tough. You've got lots of things that can send you in the wrong direction, can cause your business to spin out or hit a dead end. But that doesn't mean there's no hope.
Thanks for joining us today on Management